My ex faked a pregnancy to keep me around, so I waited until her baby shower to expose everything with screenshots and walked out with my dignity. I'm a 27-year-old guy, and for a while, I really believed my ex, Leah, was the love of my life. We met through mutual friends at a backyard bonfire. She had this kind of glow-magnetic, unpredictable, the type of girl who laughed with her whole chest and made everyone around her feel like they were part of something exciting. From the moment we started talking, everything else in the world faded. I don't think I've ever clicked with someone that fast. Deep conversations turned into late-night calls, which turned into weekend getaways and constant texting. It felt like falling into a whirlwind. Leah was affectionate in a way I hadn't really experienced before. She'd say things like, "I've never felt this seen," or "I just know we're meant to build a future together." It was intense, but flattering. I mean, how do you walk away from someone who looks at you like you hung the moon? By our second month together, she was already making comments like, "When we have kids," or "You'd be the best dad." It was early, sure, but I chalked it up to excitement. We were both in our 20s. People get serious fast sometimes, right? But then came the subtle shifts. Every time I mentioned a guy's night or a work trip, her energy would change. Her smile would dim, and she'd get quiet. Then the guilt trips would start. "Do you really need to go?" Or "I just get anxious when I'm not with you." At first, I thought it was just passion, like maybe she was afraid to lose me. I took it as a compliment. But over time, her affection started feeling more like pressure, more like surveillance. And I didn't know it then, but those were the earliest signs that loving Leah wouldn't be love at all. It would be control. Wrapped in affection, and I still had no idea just how far she'd take it. It started with small comments. "Your friends don't really get you," Leah would say casually, like she was doing me a favor. "They talk about such immature stuff. You've outgrown them." At first, I defended them, but over time, the arguments wore me down. Anytime, I'd make plans happy hour, a game night. Even a quick coffee run, she'd pout or go silent. Then she'd drop lines like, "Guess I'll just be alone again tonight." Guilt started replacing excitement. She always had a way of making her sadness feel like my fault. The deeper we got into the relationship, the more twisted it became. I caught her once scrolling through my phone while I was in the shower. She didn't even flinch, just looked up and said, "I just needed to make sure no one's trying to take you from me." When I asked her to respect my privacy, she cried so hard she nearly made herself sick. She kept saying things like, "If you have nothing to hide, why does it matter?" I started filtering my words, walking on eggshells. I became someone who weighed every sentence before speaking it, just to avoid setting her off. The breaking point came after a fight when I told her I needed space. I said, "Maybe we should take a break, think things." Her face went blank. Then she whispered, "If you leave, I swear I'll do something you'll never forgive yourself for." That sentence haunted me. I stayed. And the next morning, she woke me up with breakfast in bed, giggling like nothing had happened. "See? We're perfect," she said, brushing my hair back like I was some fragile thing she owned. Love bombing, I later learned, is when an abuser overwhelms you with affection after hurting you. Back then, I called it making up. Now, I know better. But I was already too far in to see the cage she was building around me. The fight that night was bad. Probably the worst one yet. I told Leah I was done. I couldn't keep doing this dance, this cycle of emotional blackmail and guilt. She didn't scream or cry this time. She just stared at me blankly, then walked out of my apartment without a word. For the first time in months, the silence felt like relief. I didn't hear from her the next day. No texts, no calls, nothing. I'll admit I was nervous. A small part of me feared she might actually hurt herself. But mostly, I just felt free. That night, my phone rang. I picked up, and all I heard was sobbing. deep, panicked sobbing through the gasps and choking tears. She finally said it. "I'm pregnant." Everything in me went still. I sat there in my dark bedroom, heart pounding, trying to process what she was saying. We weren't trying. In fact, she had insisted on being on birth control, said she had it handled, said she didn't want kids until she was married, so why now? Before I could ask anything, she texted me a photo, a blurry, half-lit pregnancy test. The kind with 2 lines, but barely. She said she'd taken it that morning and was still in shock. Said she needed me now more than ever. Said she didn't think she could survive this alone. And just like that, every ounce of resolve I had melted. I told her I'd support her no matter what. My family was cautious. My mom asked questions. Had I seen a doctor's note? Ultrasound? Anything? Leah shut that down fast. "I can't handle all the judgment," she told me. I'm already so scared. And I believed her, 'cause what kind of person lies about something like that? I didn't know it yet, but I was about to find out. At first, I chalked it up to nerves. Leah said she wanted to wait until she was out of the danger zone before scheduling any big doctor visits. Miscarriages are common in the first few weeks, she told me. I don't want to jinx it. Fair enough. I wasn't going to pressure her, but then 2 weeks passed. Then 3. And every time I brought up the idea of going to a checkup with her, she dodged it. One day, she claimed she already went to a private clinic just to be safe. Another day, she said she wasn't ready to see anything on a screen yet. "It's too soon," she'd whisper, eyes wide, hand on her stomach. Except nothing was changing. Her belly looked the same. No nausea, no cravings, no fatigue. If anything, she seemed more energetic, more polished, like she was playing a part. But the most bizarre thing? Her Instagram, she started posting cryptic quotes like a mother's. "Love begins before the baby's first breath, and tiny feet leave the biggest footprints on our hearts." She didn't tag me, didn't mention we were expecting. Just these vague, poetic captions that made it seem more like a mood board than a pregnancy. The real cracks showed when she slipped up on timing. She told me one night she was almost out of the first trimester. But 2 days earlier, she'd said she just found out 3 weeks ago. I did the math. It didn't make sense, so I asked her gently if she could walk me through the timeline. Just so I could understand. She blinked fast, her breathing quickened, and then she crumpled into the couch, sobbing uncontrollably. "Do you really think I'd lie about something like this?" I didn't answer, because I wasn't sure anymore. But I knew something wasn't right, and I was starting to feel like I wasn't just being played, I was being trapped. I couldn't keep it to myself anymore. The doubt was eating me alive, so I told my sister. We sat in her kitchen, coffee going cold between us, while I laid everything out: the sketchy test photo, the missed appointments, the weird social media posts. When I finished, she didn't even blink. "She's faking it," she said flatly. I'd bet money. The words hit like a punch. Hearing someone else say it out loud made it feel more real. We hatched a quiet plan. Nothing aggressive. Just observation. My sister helped me track. Leah's public posts made notes of timestamps, helped me piece together a digital trail. We checked Venmo transactions, Instagram stories, even old texts to see where things weren't adding up. Meanwhile, I kept playing the supportive boyfriend. I texted her good mornings, asked how the baby was doing, offered to bring soup. She soaked it up, probably thought. I'd finally settled into the role of daddy-to-be, but I was watching everything. One afternoon, Leah texted me saying she couldn't keep food down and was curled up in bed with crackers and ginger tea. I felt a pit in my stomach. My sister called 5 minutes later. She just tagged herself at brunch. She said, "Bottomless mimosas." I stared at the screen. There she was, posing with 2 friends, holding a flute of champagne, beaming like nothing in the world could touch her. That was the moment I stopped hoping I was wrong. I started collecting everything. Screenshots of text contradictions, photos of her drinking, every instance where her story shifted. I started backing up messages and creating a folder labeled Leah Truth. If she was lying, I needed proof. Not for revenge, for clarity, for sanity, because if I walked away without receipts, she'd twist it into her story again. And this time, I needed the truth to speak louder than her tears. It happened by accident. Leah left her old iPad at my place stuck between the couch cushions, like she'd forgotten it after one of her dramatic sleepovers. I didn't think much of it at first. I tossed it on the coffee table and planned to give it back the next time I saw her. But that night, something in me itched. Maybe it was instinct. Maybe it was desperation. I charged it, swiped up. No passcode. The Messages app was still logged in. I wasn't even looking for anything specific. But what I found dropped my stomach to the floor. A message thread titled Mark, filled with weeks of texts. Flirty, steamy, intimate stuff. She called him my peace, my secret, and most disgustingly, my real soulmate. There were photos, some I'd rather not describe, and the timestamps. They overlapped perfectly with the same days she'd been crying to me about our future baby. One message hit harder than all the rest. Don't worry, babe. Not tied down, no kids, no drama. Just us. No kids. No drama. I sat there, staring at the screen, hands shaking. I reread that line over and over, like my brain couldn't process what my eyes were seeing. She wasn't just manipulating me emotionally. She was lying to two people, playing two versions of herself. With me, the delicate, pregnant girlfriend desperate for protection. With him, the carefree, sexy, independent woman living her best life. She created a fake pregnancy to keep me locked in while keeping her. Options open. This wasn't fear. This wasn't insecurity. This was calculated. It wasn't just betrayal. It was a performance, and I was the audience she needed to control. That night, I closed the iPad and stared at the ceiling until sunrise. Finally seeing the truth, the pregnancy wasn't a baby. It was a leash. After the iPad, I stopped feeling anything. The disgust didn't hit right away. It was more like numbness, like I'd been emotionally evicted from my own life. But I didn't confront her. Not yet. I needed to play dumb, keep her thinking she still had control, so I acted. I texted her goodnight, asked how the baby was feeling, nodded sympathetically when she said her back hurt. But inside, I was cold. I'd already begun mourning a relationship that was never real. That's when she upped the game. She forwarded me an email subject line. Prenatal summary from Dr. Alina Myers. It looked official. Clinic header, signature, a note about early testing. But the tone was off, too polished, too generic. I clicked the doctor's headshot, then ran a reverse image search. The first result. Smiling female doctor, free use stock image. She stole a face off the internet to prove her lie. I should have screamed. Instead, I laughed. Not because it was funny, but because the audacity was so theatrical. I half wondered if I was living inside some twisted reality show, and just when I thought she couldn't push further, she announced it. A baby shower. Nothing huge, she said sweetly. Just family. Close friends. A chance to celebrate this miracle. She bought tiny shoes, made Pinterest boards, sent me links to overpriced registries. She was glowing in public, sharing subtle, baby-related posts, soaking in sympathy. My friends started pulling me aside, asking why I looked miserable. One even said, "Man, you've got a good woman. She's glowing with joy." I wanted to scream. I wanted to hold up the screenshots, the fake emails, the lies. But it wasn't time yet. She was parading around like a victim, smiling, shopping, shining in a lie. And every single person believed her. except me, and soon. They'd all see what she really was. It was just after midnight when I got the call. Leah's voice was shaky, breathless. "I can't breathe," she whispered. "I think I'm losing the baby." I dropped everything and drove over. Heart pounding, even though a small, bitter voice in the back of my mind kept saying, "You know this isn't real." When I got to her place, she was curled up on the floor, eyes puffy, hands gripping her stomach like she was in agony. She looked up at me, tears spilling down her cheeks. "It's the stress," she sobbed. "You've been so distant. I think it's hurting the baby." She wrapped her arms around me, trembling, and I just froze. I wanted to scream at her. I wanted to say, "You're not pregnant. You're a fraud." But all I did was hold her, because in that moment, I still couldn't make myself be the villain in her version of events. We didn't sleep that night. She passed out eventually, but I stayed awake. I sat in her bathroom with the door locked, staring at myself in the mirror. I looked gone, like a ghost wearing my skin. I cried, silently, into a hand towel, angry tears. Tired tears, the kind that don't even sting anymore. And somewhere in that fog, I opened my phone and searched engagement rings. I told myself maybe if I showed her, I was all in. Maybe she'd finally calm down. Maybe the lies would stop if she felt secure. That's where I was, ready to propose to the woman I knew was conning me. I told my best friend the next day. He stared at me and said, "Bro, she's destroying you." It hit like a punch. A loud, clear truth. He was right. Because I hadn't just lost trust, I was losing myself, and if I didn't do something soon, there'd be nothing left of me to save. I woke up one morning with a clarity I hadn't felt in months. This couldn't end quietly. Not with a text. Not with me walking away while she spun a new lie. About how I abandoned her and the baby? No, if she wanted to play games in public, if she wanted applause for a performance, then she was going to get the final act she deserved, so I told her I was planning a surprise baby shower. I played it cool. "I know you said you didn't want anything big," I said, "but this should be special. I want you to feel celebrated." Her face lit up like I'd just handed her the world. She kissed me like she meant it, like this was the grand gesture she'd been waiting for. "Finally," she said, "you're really showing up." If only she knew. While she shopped for centerpieces and baby-themed cupcakes, I got to work. I made a guest list, but not just her side. I invited everyone, her friends, her mom, her coworkers, my family, my boys from college, every person who'd ever told me I was lucky to have her. I wanted every witness in the room. Then I built the folder. Screenshots of texts that contradicted her pregnancy timeline. The reverse image search of her fake doctor. DMs from her Instagram showing wine nights and mimosas. And finally, the crown jewel printouts from the iPad conversation with Mark, where she swore up and down she was single and child-free. It wasn't spite that drove me. It was survival. If I left quietly, I'd always be the villain in her story. She'd paint herself as the grieving, abandoned mother, and I'd be the cruel man who walked out. I didn't just want to escape. I wanted her mask to shatter, in front of every person who helped her build it. The day of the baby shower, everything looked perfect. Soft pastel balloons arched over the entrance. "It's a girl." Banners stretched across the walls. Leah's idea, of course, though she never offered a single sonogram to prove it. There were trays of cupcakes with pink frosting, tiny plastic bottles filled with candy, baby name cards at each table. The playlist was gentle acoustic pop. It's a kind you'd hear in a diaper commercial. Leah walked in, glowing. I'll give her credit, she committed to the role. She clutched her belly like there was life inside it. She sniffled when her mom hugged her. She posed for photos, hand on her stomach. smiling so wide you'd think she was carrying a miracle. Then came the speeches. One of her friends stood up first, talking about what an incredible, brave mother Leah already was. Someone else teared up, saying, "This child is already so loved." I waited, then I stood. I took the mic and said, "Thank you all for coming. Before we cut the cake, something I need to share." I nodded toward the screen, and the slideshow began. First slide. A blurry pregnancy test with metadata proving it was downloaded from Google Images. Second, the doctor. Email alongside the stock photo website where her face came from. Third, screenshots of Leah at brunch. Wine in hand, during the weeks she claimed to be vomiting daily. And finally, messages from the iPad. Her calling Mark her soulmate. Her promising she had no kids. Her planning a weekend getaway on the same weekend she told me she was too weak to walk. Gasps filled the room, her face drained of color. Someone whispered, "Oh my God, is this real?" She screamed at me, called me a monster. Her mom tried to shield her, but I didn't argue. I just handed her the folder, all the proof, and walked out. I didn't slam the door. I didn't yell because I didn't need revenge. I just needed the truth to have an audience. By the next morning, Leah had already gone into damage control. Her Instagram story was a wall of text white font on black background. Emotional abuse, she claimed. Public humiliation. She painted herself as the victim of a cruel partner who used her most vulnerable moment for a spectacle. She even said I faked the evidence out of jealousy. Men can be manipulative too, she wrote. But the problem was, people were there. Real people. People who saw the slideshow. Who saw her face crumble. And one by one, they started posting. A clip of the slideshow. A close-up of the fake doctor email. A friend even posted side-by-side screenshots of her drinking wine while claiming she was bedridden with morning sickness. The comment sections exploded. Some defended her people who didn't know the full story. But most, they saw right through it. Her own cousin commented, "I was there. It was real." She lied. Then came the silence. Her family cut contact. The cousin who once called me too controlling messaged me an apology. Mark, the guy from the message, blocked her. Deleted her photos. Ghosted completely. She tried texting me. "You ruined my life," she wrote. "I hope you're proud." I didn't respond. I blocked her on everything, and for the first time in over a year. I exhaled. The weight lifted slowly, like fog burning off at sunrise. I cleaned my apartment, took down photos, burned a candle she hated. I booked a therapy appointment and told the whole story, start to finish. The therapist didn't interrupt once, just listened. And when I finished, she said, "I'm glad you got out." That wasn't love. That was control. She was right. It didn't feel like a breakup. It felt like escaping a cult. It's been 7 months now. I wake up without dread in my chest. I answer my phone without rehearsing what to say. I go on walks. I sleep through the night. I'm not constantly questioning my own memory or second-guessing what's real. I'm in a better place, stronger, wiser, finally myself again. Healing didn't come fast. I had to unlearn a lot. I had to face the guilt, the shame, the part of me that still asked, how did I let this happen? But over time, I stopped blaming myself. I started seeing it clearly. I didn't let it happen. I was manipulated by someone who weaponized love. Eventually, I started dating again. Carefully, quietly, no rushing. I talk openly about boundaries now, about trust. I'm not afraid to say no. I'm not afraid to walk away at the first red flag. And I've learned that real love doesn't need to trap you to keep you. I look back sometimes, not with regret, but with understanding I missed the signs. I ignored my gut. I let guilt drown out logic. And I paid the price. But I got out. I found a way back to myself. So if you're in something that feels like love but hurts like hell, I want you to know. You're not crazy, you're not weak. You're being controlled, and you can walk out. With your dignity. She faked a life to keep me. I exposed her lie to get mine back. Thanks for listening. If this helped you, share it. You never know who needs to hear this. Someone out there is stuck in a web they can't see yet. And sometimes, hearing a voice from the outside is the first step to breaking free. Asterisk.